late 1800s, the North and South had many differences, kind of like siblings have differences. These differences had separated them for a very long time. They had two different lifestyles, which is one reason that they did not get along. Their different geographies caused many problems between the two. Since the South had a lot of farmland, they depended on slaves to get their work done. On the other hand, the North had many cities and factories, which didn't take as much hard work, so there was no need for slaves. Their fights were just like sibling fights for many reasons.
The North had banned slavery because they realized how cruel it was and that there was no need for it. The fact that the Southern states would not give up their slaves was the main reason why the Union and Confederacy continued to argue. They couldn't agree on anything, the same way siblings can't agree on which television show to watch. During their fights, they would make different compromises over land and free states or slave states, the same way that siblings would, leaving both sides partially happy. Not all of these compromises were fair, but at least they had an agreement.
When Abraham Lincoln became the president, he wanted to end slavery. The South would not give up their slaves, so they wanted to secede. Secession was illegal, so the North would not allow this. This time, the Union and Confederacy were not able to come to an agreement. Soon enough, the two sides decided to go into war. This compared to siblings being selfish and not coming to an agreement. Since the war was between one country, it was called the Civil War. The Civil War caused even more problems in the U.S.
In Civil War battles, there were many deaths because of soldiers used old battle tactics. The most deadliest Civil War battle was the Battle of Gettysburg. During this battle, 7,655 soldiers were killed. Many soldiers were also wounded and went missing. Both sides had different views on slavery. Here's a journal writing from a Confederate soldier.
Dear Diary, today we are traveling to the North to defend our rights. We all want to keep our slaves. Hopefully the President, Abraham Lincoln, won't pass the Emancipation Proclamation. Once the Emancipation Proclamation is passed, all slaves will be freed. Slavery should not be taken away because it takes a lot of hard work to farm cotton all day long, and we need all the help we can get. So far it looks like the North is going to win this war. They have many more soldiers, better transportation and communication, and more factory production. All of these things are missing in the South. Every day more soldiers are dying. It is too hard to watch. I don't know how much more I can take. How much longer until I die? Is it time to give up? John Smith.
The North had a totally different view on slavery. A diary entry from a Northern soldier would have looked more like this. Dear Diary, today we are marching down to Fort Sumter. Along the way, we overheard a group of men talking about how furious they are about slavery. This argument is causing too many problems for everyone. It is about time for the South to give up on slavery and learn to work for themselves. I think it is very unfair for the Africans that the South is treating them as if they aren't even people. The Confederacy is acting like the Africans are younger siblings and making them do all the dirty work. All people should be treated the same, and I will not stop fighting until all slaves are banned. We have a much better fighting system with better weapons, transportation, communication, and a bigger population. There is no way that the Confederacy will be able to keep up with our strength. We are hoping that Abraham Lincoln will pass the Emancipation Proclamation. Then all the Southern slaves will be set free. Hopefully many of them will join us in this horrid war. I can't wait until Lincoln finally sends us the message that he has passed a law saying that slavery is banned. That would make me so happy. Frank Einstein.
Years went by as the Civil War continued. There was no solution for the problems between the Union and the Confederacy. The Union was still at an advantage because of their population and technology, which made it very hard for the Confederate soldiers to stay alive. Eventually, the war became too destructive. This led to General Lee's surrender, ending the deadly Civil War. Although General Leigh had made the right decision, he may have also felt that he let down all of the farmers who needed their slaves.
Finally, the North and South had made up like siblings would. After the Civil War, many things cleared up between the North and the South. Although they had their differences, they compromised and figured out ways to get through them. They all united once again and became one big family. Later on, the North and South no longer had their titles. They were one. With all that both sides had given, the United States of America became a better country.
The Civil War was like a sibling fight because they both came from the same family. They couldn't always work out compromises, which led to fighting, but in the end, they would always make up.